How you handle your lawn care impacts our water and air. In 1 hour, a gas-powered mower produces the same amount of pollution as a car driven 100 miles. Gas-powered lawn equipment harms our air. And yard waste down storm drains causes flooding and water pollution. Using too much fertilizer releases harmful chemicals into our air and runs off lawns, eventually reaching our rivers and streams. Healthy lawn care habits protect your family, our community, and the environment. Healthy yards for healthy communities.
Good evening, everybody. We're going to go ahead and get started. I'd like to welcome everybody to our candidate forum. This particular forum are for candidates that are on the April 7th, 2026 ballot. Polls will open at 6 a.m. and close at 7 p.m. and North Kansas City residents vote at the North Kansas City YMCA. Candidates will be asked questions and each candidate will be given 3 minutes to answer. We will go round robin style. And I would like to give a huge thank you to the North Kansas City High School debate students who will actually be monitoring this forum. And with that, we're going to hand it over to the pros.
Hi, my name is Simon Johnson. I'm a junior at North Kansas City High School, and I'm the vice president of our school's speech and debate team.
Hi, my name is Journey George. I am in 11th grade as well, and I'm also on the North Kansas City High School speech and debate team.
Okay, first and foremost, each candidate will get to introduce themselves, state if they are up for re-election, and then state one goal that they wish to achieve if elected.
Mr. Saper, how about we start with Ward 1?
Ward 1, actually. Yes, indeed. I am up for re-election as council member from Ward 1. And my goals for the next 2 years are to, one, actually complete the completed parts of our existing master plan, updated, and considered with what has happened since the original was developed. Master plans are not written in stone, but they're guides, and we need to recognize that. They're just guides, and take them seriously, update them, implement them as they still make sense, and proceed from there. That is my primary goal.
Hi, my name is Lindsay McGrone. I am in Ward 2. I am running for re-election. I've just finished my first term. I'm a lifelong Northlander. I am a graduate of North Kansas City High School. I was on the speech and debate team, so go Hornets. And I'd say that my goal for the next 2 years, and honestly my goal just being involved in city government in general, is to make Northtown a welcoming place for everyone, our residents, our businesses, our visitors. And there are specific things that we can do to do that. We can continue to grow our community involvement activities, such as our community dinner that our mayor put on last night, which I wasn't able to attend, but I heard was a really great success. We've got a lot of committees that aren't official committees, like our bike walk committee and our Neighbors Helping Neighbors groups. Those are really great ways to get people involved in city government and also just as being residents of the town. And the more connected people feel to this area, the more involved they'll want to be and the more welcoming the entire town feels. So as long as we can continue to promote that just long term, not just in the next 2 years, but going forward and keep the spirit of this kind of small town community that's surrounded by larger forces intact, then I think that's pretty much the best goal I could achieve.
Hi, I'm Cynthia Larson, and I am not running for re-election. I'm brand new to this. Unlike everybody else who's running this year, I have never served on city council, so I have a lot to learn, but I'm bringing a lot of energy with me. At this time, I'm on our Parks and Rec board. I'm also the president of our Parks Foundation, so you can kind of guess where my passions lie. I do have 2 small children, so I do everything with them in mind. So I'm so excited about parks and how we can keep encouraging our parks department, helping them grow, and then also just giving our kids a safe place to grow up, a sustainable community. And Lindsay, I couldn't have said it better, like continuing with community engagement. Last night's community dinner was fantastic. I was able to sit and talk to people that I wanted to talk to. I've talked with people that I'm already, peripherally aware of, and I was able to connect more deeply with them. And so I want to continue just making this place feel like, you know, the communities you remember in the 50s where you knew your next door neighbors. You invited friends over for dinner. And I think COVID really isolated a lot of us. And I want everybody to get more engaged. I want, for our next election, I want this place to be packed with candidates. I want us to have more choices. I want everybody to feel invested and involved in the community because this is an amazing community worth protecting. And I want my kids to see everybody being more engaged. And I want to thank everybody who's here in person and those that are watching online. And of course, thanking our North Kansas City High School students for coming because you guys are engaged. You're the people I look up to. So thank you guys for coming.
Ms. Alvarez, we're just introducing ourselves and then your main goal if reelected.
Sorry, I'm running a little behind today. My name is Linda Alvarez. I've been on the council the past 2 terms. This will be my 3rd one. I just feel like everyone's responsibility to try to serve and bring back to the community as much as they can. A little bit of my background, I actually worked at Kansas City Police Department as a dispatcher and call taker for about 5-6 years. Took a little time off, and then I came down here to North Kansas City Police Department. I recently retired about 4 years ago, maybe 5 now. I was there for 23 years. I was a dispatch supervisor, and I think I gained a lot of perspective of the city, the boundaries of the community that we have, and I really appreciate everything that we have in this city. We're so fortunate. We have, I know I've said this several times, so we have the best police service, the best ambulance service. You can't get better service, I don't believe, anywhere. So I have lived in Kansas City. I also live in North Kansas City now, of course, and I reside in the house that my parents bought back in 1980. My parents had some health difficulties, so we moved in to take care of them, and then after they passed away, we just continued to stay here because it's just a wonderful community. Both of my children went to high school down here in North Kansas City and graduated, and then went on to do their own thing. They still live in the Kansas City area though, so we stay close and they're here quite a bit. So, and I just really do love this community, and I've learned a lot being on what I call this side of the building, because before I was on the other side, the police side. So there's a lot more going on over here than I realized. So I'm learning a lot. So, thank you.
All right, I'm going to start with our first question. I'm just going to ask, what do you think is the best part of NKC, and what do you think is the greatest challenge?
If we're round robining, I'll go next. Okay, so the best thing about NKC is its people. I get to know so many people just by walking around, going to businesses, going to sporting events at the high school or theater events, going to community events, things like Snake Saturday parades and our, well, we used to have a Fall Fest. We've done that a couple of times. The Arts in the Park festivities that we're going to have in June. All of those events and activities bring our community closer together and introduce me to the wide variety of people that we have here. We've got people who have families and people who have children and people who don't. We've got older people and younger people. We've got people who have fur kids, and we've got, like me, we've got people who love sports and people who, you know, love movies, and any kind of hobby or activity that you're interested in, you can probably find somebody here in Northtown that's interested in that too. I think our biggest challenge is it's our size and the fact that we don't have more places for people to live that want to own property here in North Kansas City. We have a large industrial area, but that's not zoned residential. We have residential areas up here, but it's pretty dense, and there's not really any place to build anything new. So if we want to encourage more people to live here, we either have to figure out a way to get more residential in the industrial area, or we need to find ways to attract developers who want to come in and build things that people can actually buy. And that's not really the real estate trend. It's people building, high rises or new apartment buildings. And that's okay too, because a resident is a resident. But the goal is we want people to live here who live here. And, so that's why we have things like short-term rental restrictions, and why we want to incentivize more like lower income apartment housing. When we do have apartments, we want to make sure that some of those are available to lower income individuals who also want to live here, so that we have more people who can be a part of Northtown. And I don't think anybody who's on council right now would argue that that is probably one of our biggest challenges.
Yes, I agree. I think the best part of living here is, I just mentioned earlier, I think it is, for me, it's the smallness is actually, for me, it's a plus. I love that it's a small community within a big city. You can go just about anywhere you want to, but you still feel like you live in a small community. And I feel safe walking around my neighborhood. I do have two fur babies that, two little white fur babies that sit in the window, and they bark constantly at everybody, everything that walks around. A leaf blows, they're barking at it. So anyway, but I do feel safe. I walk my dogs around the neighborhood. We have the doggy park. Can't tell you how many people I've met there. Just a wonderful community. And again, the response that we have from our police service, I feel very safe here. Our fire department, our ambulance service. I just don't think you can get better service, better quality anywhere. Plus, I feel a sense of home here since I said my parents bought a house here several years ago. It makes me feel close to them to stay in that home. And then plus my children both went to North Kansas City High School and graduated from there. Again, like Councilman McGrone said, the biggest challenge I think we have is affordable housing. And we do have a lot of apartments that are coming in. We're building that way. And when you only have 4.5 square miles, you can't build out, so you have to build up. And that's what we seem to be doing. But I do wish that we had more property in the area that's designed just for homes, for affordable housing, for long-term residents to the city, because it is a great community, and I do wish we had that opportunity for people.
How much time do we have to talk about all the great parts of North Kansas City? Because I could spend all 3 minutes on that. So I'll try to keep it short so that we can get to the greatest challenges also. I consider the diversity of this community to be a huge asset. When we were looking to where to move 12 years ago, we looked at the diversity of the high school, and that was a huge selling point. You don't learn unless you're hearing other ideas, other approaches to life. And so I think I am a better person by listening to people who think differently than me, live differently than me, and I think my children will also become better people just by being exposed to new ideas. The safety of this community is fantastic. Our police department is so responsive. I do feel very secure in my neighborhood. When I was looking at my house, a cruiser drove by, and I was like, okay, great. Like, I know that there are eyes on all of our in our community. Obviously, our parks are fantastic. I could go all day about our parks, but we're so blessed to have Mackin Park and Dag Park across the street, and River Forest Park is going to be a jewel in our crown as well. And then our city staff is amazing. I think, sorry, Kim, for making eye contact with you. This is very pointed. But we really do have the most talented city staff in, I'd say, the country. Our public works department is so responsive. And then I can say this because I'm not on city council, but I think we have really talented, intelligent city council members also. I love tuning into our city council meetings. I always learn something new. They ask great questions that I wish I could be up here asking. And so I'm so glad that we have representatives that care about our feelings, our houses, our homes, our lives. So we're all very lucky to be North Kansas City citizens. Our greatest challenges are our landlockedness. It's challenging for home buyers. It's challenging for people who want to move into our communities. It's challenging for businesses. We do have some opportunities, hopefully, for new businesses to come. But wouldn't it be great if we were out in the middle of the country and we could just invite everybody to come in, but we have to be selective about how we build, what we bring in, which is also kind of a positive that we can be more selective about how our city grows. But, yeah, great city. Thank you.
I will push the button here to put the mic on. My commitment has always been to make North Kansas City the most livable, inclusive, compassionate, and welcoming community possible for all those who live here, work here, and visit here. And that includes the people who rent apartments here. Where I differ with some of my colleagues is that I don't see a problem with having more apartments here, in the sense that it's the only way that North Kansas City can actually grow in population. People who live in apartments sometimes will stay years, even decades, and become just as much a part of this community as anybody who buys a home here. And so I don't see that divide. I think we need to reach out more to people who are living in apartments, bring them in a more inclusive and real way, so that I think that North Kansas City can grow. Now that the Royals issue is behind us, we've got a large area to develop, and how we develop that in the future will impact the city for the next 10, 20, 30, and maybe 40 years. That's what we have to look toward. Not tomorrow, not next year, not next week, not even the length of a master plan, but beyond that. And for those reasons, I would hope that those in Ward 1 will vote for me.
Right, so a lot of you guys just covered this, but as we know, North Kansas City is currently facing a cost of living crisis in regards to the cost of housing, childcare, food, etc. If you were elected, do you have any plans for addressing these issues?
Okay, they just reminded me I go first on this one, so great. I don't know. I think that's a problem everywhere. I don't know that it can be solved by one person or a council or a city staff. I think it's people are affected by the cost of living everywhere. I wish I knew the answer. I wish I knew what could be done to correct it. I know that we do have a lot of services here in our city, community services that help. If you're in need, I know they have places that you can go for assistance. Northland Assistance Center has been huge. They provide food or assistance if you need some. I also think we are a community where we are aware of our neighbors, a lot of us, so we know maybe certain neighbors or certain groups or whatever that might need assistance, and I think we're comfortable reaching out to one another just on a personal basis. But I as far as solving the cost of living and the increases, I think that's something that we all have to deal with, and I don't think there's a quick solution or an easy one, and I think it's going to take a long term to bring that back around.
Yeah, what a difficult question. Excellent question. Thank you for asking it. I think first to hit on the cost of housing, I am in support of apartments, especially if they can be condo arrangements where you have the opportunity to buy and take ownership in that property. I'm also a big proponent of, I love the townhomes along Howell and in Northgate. That gives a lot of opportunities for first-time homeowners. And if we had the opportunity for a lower cost of living lower income housing affordability. Sorry. But in regards to like the cost of gas going up, I'm a big proponent of pedestrian and biking. And I know that there have been it's been a controversial topic, adding bike lanes on some of our busy streets. But the more people we can get riding bikes or walking, that will just clear up some of the congestion on the streets. And it's cheaper to ride a bike than it is to drive a car. And we live in a perfect city where it's flat and easy to ride a bike, easy to walk around. For any folks in our neighborhood, you probably see me walking around quite a bit. I like walking. Come join me. We'll go for a walk. And then in our community, we do have a lot of resources available. Like Linda said, we've got the Northland Assistance Center for anyone who's struggling. We also have the Harris Charitable Fund, where they donate to charities that are assisting those in our communities that need extra help. So we do have some services in place to help ease some of the burden of the increasing cost of living. And there's always more ways we can help, and I will continue looking for ways that we can assist those who need help.
Too bad. This is a problem beyond what a municipality can handle. It's a national problem. In some ways, it's a systemic problem of our economy. What we can do, however, is do our best to, on the periphery, help those that we can through community activities. We're not going to solve the problem. We're not going to even solve an individual's problem, but we can possibly ease their issues with food, clothing, affordable housing. That's really beyond our capacity to create. But we can reach out to them and let them know that it's not necessarily them. People tend to blame themselves when they hit bad times, hard times. Sometimes it's a system we live in. It's not them. And we can remind them of that they're part of our community, they're decent people, and it's not them, it's a system. And we'll do what we can, even though, albeit it's not much, unfortunately.
So as a council member, there's actually quite a bit that we can do to help people who are dealing with the increased cost of everything. North Kansas City runs its own water department. When we moved from Kansas City to North Kansas City in 2018, our water bill went from $130 a month to $35 a month, okay? We've had some increases over the last few years because we have some water issues that we're having to address, but our water bill still is only $67 a month. That is over half of what we paid in Kansas City. As council, we can continue to keep those costs low for all of our residents. We also, as council, have invested heavily into high-speed internet for our residents. And we're trying to get that more into the apartment complexes that are built. There are some apartment complexes that don't have the ability to get our Link City internet, which is free to residents with the hookup fee. That saves residents upwards of $70 to $80 every month because we as council have opted to choose to have that as a city service. We also have control over things like taxes and sales taxes. During my first term, we talked about putting a use tax on the ballot. A use tax would have impacted only residents and businesses, and I'm not in favor of putting taxes on our in our toolkit that only impact residents and businesses. We have one of the lowest sales tax rates in all of the metro. So even if we raised our sales tax by 0.5%, that would generate over $2.5 million a year in revenue and still keep us at one of the lowest sales tax rates in the entire metro. So those are all things that people who are elected here get to choose or not to provide or not to the residents. We can't control things like the cost of food or the cost of gas. We can use charitable funds from Harris or city funds to stock our food pantry with the Northland Assistance Center, or, you know, provide other resources. You make sure that the police are staffed and well-trained in order to deal with social issues. But thinking that those things are out of our hands is not, it's not true. There are things that we as council people and residents can do to actually impact that cost of that cost of living increase for all of our residents.
Safe streets and biking and walking paths seem to be a hot topic on the NKC neighborhood social media pages, and I know they've been mentioned a bit today as well. So could you share your thoughts about the current Safe Streets for All plan and where you personally stand on biking and walking paths?
I said it earlier. I love our pedestrians. I love our bike riders, our walkers. I have some reservations about like the Howell Street bike path. I personally don't ride a bike, and so I'm not an expert on the best way to navigate that road or what the best path is. And so I would like to consult with our BPAC group and hear their thoughts, and also the Parks Department to hear their thoughts on some of those bike routes. But I do think it's important for us to make sure our city is safe for those that are most vulnerable when they're traversing our streets. I would love to see. I'm running to represent Ward 4, which consists of River Forest Park, which is on the other side of the highway, and a little dog leg east of the highway. And I would love for there to be a more safe connection between the two. I have been talking to some of my neighbors in River Forest Park, and they multiple times have mentioned that they felt disconnected from the rest of the city. And I think if we had more walkable routes for them to come walk downtown, walk to City Hall, walk to the park, that would just make them feel more connected and make us all feel more cohesive. So I am extremely for whatever we can do to make this city more accessible to bike riders and walkers. I don't know if that answered your question completely, but walking paths, that also consists of levee paths. Would love to make a levee trail happen. I know that there's a lot going on. I know a lot of it's out of our hands. But would love to sit down with the levee district and talk about the feasibility of having more accessibility to the levee trails, just because we've seen that in some of our neighboring communities. And if they can do it, why can't we do it? So I hate to be so forceful about something, but I just want to get out on those levees. Sue me.
I've had active bike riders talk to me about they actually prefer riding in groups, 2 to 3 across a lane, and they can talk and socialize as they bike ride, and they prefer riding in the streets, in a car lane, in that situation. They couldn't do that on a narrow bike path. That's one problem with the proposed Howell Street redo. The other, it's a much larger problem. The grand vision is to bring the nature and bike trails from Platte County through Parkville, through Riverside, to North Kansas City. But there's a problem there. The obvious one is the route. The route to North Kansas City is along Route 9. That's the obvious juncture. But then you come to the Kansas City Water Department Bridge. You come to crossing Route 9 and Burlington into North Kansas City. There has been no solution to that issue yet to make a safe, practical bike trail of any kind. And if we go ahead with just doing Howell Street, we'll end up with the same problem we've had with Armour Road bike lanes. They look nice, especially on a picture postcard notion, but they go nowhere and end up nowhere. They're not connected. The grand vision of connecting all of that to a levee road, which is part of that grand vision, is really boils down to how do we solve the problem of getting a trail past the Kansas City water across 9 in Burlington into North Kansas City. We've had studies and grants that are working on that, but until that is solved, we would be spending a lot of money to go from nowhere to nowhere. And I would propose that we actually put everything on hold until we get that solution. One, I hope, is forthcoming, but until then, it's not responsible to go ahead with the kind of redo on how that some people seem to want.
So, in my opinion, safe streets for all means safe streets for all. It means safe streets for vehicles and pedestrians and bicyclists and people riding scooters and unicycles. And I don't know what you want on your wheels, but if it can go on a pavement, then it means safe streets for everyone. When Armour was reconfigured, a lot of people assume that it was reconfigured just to get bike lanes into Howell and onto Armour, and that's not true. It was reconfigured to make it safer for everyone using it, and the result of it has been less fatalities, less injuries, less crashes. It means more people are able to safely walk on Armour Road and not feel like they're going to get hit by a car, and it means that people slow down as they go through town. And that's a big point for a lot of people. Some people are pretty furious that they can't drive 40 miles an hour past Greenland Theater anymore. Personally, I'm glad that they're not flying through downtown North Kansas City. 16th Street, which is 3 blocks south, is a perfect way for people who want to go without stoplights and without having to kind of pay more attention to potential pedestrians and bicyclists to get from Burlington to the highway. There are alternatives, but we want our downtown to feel like a downtown. I don't think that the Armour Road bike paths are perfect at all. I wish that they were more protected. I don't personally feel very safe riding my bike on Armour Road on the bike lanes. Do I wish that they weren't there? Absolutely not. It's at least a solution, but they can be greatly improved. I do want some kind of path from Armour Road to Mackin Park. I want people to be able to ride from South Kansas City, across the Heart of America Bridge, up Swift, get on Armour, and get to Mackin Park to go to all of our events, or bring their kids and feel safe on a bike path that's dedicated to a bike path. I think that we need to be more thoughtful in the planning of the whole plan. Originally, when the Howell Street design was done, it was done with just kind of an overlay and not a thinking of, oh, we're going to have to move utility poles or we're going to have to get, Evergy involved. And that's where it kind of got derailed. It was a really pretty picture of a plan, but it didn't actually work out in practice. And so I don't want us to abandon any of that. I want us to relook at it and be thoughtful about it and make a really nice pathway through our town that is connected outside through the Heart of America Bridge.
Yes, as far as safe streets, I agree. I want the streets to be safe for everyone. I think we do have a walkable, rideable community. I know that people are trying to cut down on the number maybe of cars that we use, which is a great idea. And in order to do that, you do have to have streets that you can walk on and ride on, whatever vehicle form of transportation you take. So it's got to be available to everyone. A big plus that we have, I think, in our city is it's pretty much a flat city, which is easy to ride a bike on and get around. I know I used to be, some time back, a very avid bike rider, but a few years ago I fell, broke my ankle, been kind of slow to get back on the bike since then, but it's great to be able to ride your bike and get around or to walk. I think I see people in our neighborhood walking everywhere, and I love that. Like I said, I walk my dogs around the neighborhood. I come across everyone else that's out walking their dog when it's nice. You meet a lot of your neighbors by walking the neighborhoods and walking your dogs, and it's nice to see kids outside playing and feeling safe. As far as the bike paths and the safe streets, our community development that we have, I know they have worked with an outside company, a consultation company, to review that, and they're working on it now to make sure that our streets are safe. They're looking at different ways that we can change some of the streets that we have, or maybe add to them. The bike paths, I know it's a big topic, and I think it's going to take a lot of work together to come up with a plan that keeps it safe, but yet gives everyone accessible routes to anywhere they want to go in the city. I think we already have an advantage. Like I said, it's pretty much a flat city, so that you can get pretty much anywhere you want to go. You can hop on your bike if you live, close by, and ride CVS, ride back, ride or walk to go get dinner or lunch or just about anything. So we have a good advantage in our geographical area and the way it's set up. So I think we just continue to keep working on that and make it safe for everyone.
All right, so North Kansas City High School is the most racially and ethnically diverse high school in the state of Missouri, which is something we are immensely proud of. But that being said, the school is at risk of being targeted by U.S. Immigration's Customs Enforcement, and ICE presence has been increasing in public schools across the U.S., such as by detaining parents waiting to pick up students, students walking home, etc. As a member of City Council, do you plan to work with law enforcement and the school to protect students from potential ICE activity?
We have already taken some steps in that direction, and we need to take a lot more, because the risks are not going away. They're even escalating across this country, not just North Kansas City. I was just talking to someone who's from Canada, working here now, wanting to go home for a visit. She was very concerned about even going through an airport from this side, especially now that they've got ICE agents at some of the airports. Whether they're masked or not, I don't know. But it's someone who once went back and forth to visit family and work here. The fear for people who are immigrants, who've come here seeking some kind of life where they didn't have before. Maybe in a sense, literally a life. They're under extreme threat. And we've had conversations with some of the legal asylum attorneys in this town, and doing what we can. It's a matter of preparation. Now, we haven't been attacked the way they have in places like Minnesota. I was on a Zoom call with some of those people, and one of the people was describing how she started out as just escorting people around town. She was a young white woman, so she was relatively safe in that sense. But she had, on this video, she displayed some of the things she felt forced to do, which was she's gotten flak jackets, helmets for herself, all kinds of cameras for her car to record things. And that's, and other she kept pulling these things out. And it was frightening in a way that it's come to this. Now, we haven't come to that yet. I hope we don't, but we need to start doing some preparation. This is not a simple solution, but we need to do what we can with our community. We do have a lot of asylum attorneys in town. They're willing to work with us. We have a police department that is really very good, but we need to be prepared, and we aren't at this time really prepared. I'll have to admit that. But we need to have it before it comes upon us. and we may be targeted.
So, as part of my role on City Council, we put together a smaller group that meets with the school board or the representatives from the school board and the high school once every few months. The last time we met with them, about 6 to 8 weeks ago, maybe it was longer ago than that. I don't know. Time is nothing. We talked to them about what their plans were if North Kansas City High School specifically were targeted by ICE, and they have really good plans in place. They will not let ICE into that school without a warrant, without all of the right paperwork. They will, and even then, their job is to protect you and every one of the other students that's there. We're a town here of about 5,500 residents, but that goes up during the day from our businesses and from our high school. You guys are our residents too. And our police department is tasked with protecting the people who live and work here, and that includes North Kansas City High School students. They work really closely with the school and the school board to make sure that that high school is as safe and protected as it can be. They do everything in their power to keep us as safe and protected from outside influences, from things like ICE and just groups that don't contribute to the well-being of North Kansas City as well as much as they can. There's really not a whole lot that they can do outside of their own guidance from City Council and their directives. They're at the mercy of the state in a lot of ways and of the federal government in a lot of ways, but they're good people, and the people that that are on the school board and run the high school are good people too, and their whole job is to try to keep all of you safe. And I know that they're doing all that they can and will continue to do that with every fiber of their being.
I want to start out by saying I'm very proud of the high school. It is a very diverse high school. I think that is exceptional because it's not secluded. Once you get out of high school, there is life beyond high school. And once you're out of high school, this is the atmosphere that you deal with in life. So hopefully you run into people, make friends with people, work with people that are from every walk of life, have different backgrounds, and that's what makes things work together. You'll have that experience for the rest of your life, and the more you are exposed at a younger age to other groups of people, other people with different backgrounds, different beliefs, the better you'll be in whatever choice you plan to proceed with your careers, with your life. So I think that's great that we have that school. I'm very proud of it. I do know that our police department is very involved in the school. We have a resource officer there. I believe Clay County has a couple of officers that they provide at the school. So I feel like they do a very good job of trying to keep everyone safe at the school. As far as like a different group or ICE coming in, I feel like there are certain rules that are set up, legal aspects, and I feel that, in my opinion, as long as we obey the rules and follow the legal rules that are set up for us, it's great to ask questions. It's great to question what's being done if you don't feel safe. However, I feel that if we follow the rules, I don't feel like anyone should be feel like they're in fear of anyone doing harm to them. I think our police department would work well with whoever is in our city. They represent us, and I feel like they are there to protect us no matter what. And but I feel most of us, I would wish that you would feel safe as long as we are following the rules that are set up by the government. I don't see that we should have a problem, especially in our city where I think our police department is there for all of us.
You should feel safe when you go to school. School should be a place you can go and know that you're safe and you're where you're supposed to be. And it turns my stomach to think about students who are afraid to go to school because they're afraid for their safety. And I know I don't have kids in high school yet, but I've been involved with the North Kansas City School District's Education Foundation, and I can tell you that there are so many involved parents, just adults in the community that are so invested in our students that if there was a time that our students were in danger, I can just imagine the number of adults that would be lined up outside trying to form a physical barrier to keep you safe. As a city council representative, there may not be much that I could do in that capacity, but as an adult, I want to advocate for our students and make sure that they know that they're seen, that they belong, and that we don't support detainment without due process. As Councilmember Saper said, we do have attorneys that we can consult with to make sure that we're staying on the right side of the law. And I think I know in the community there have been Know Your Rights presentations, and I think spreading information like that, especially in the schools, so that everybody knows what their rights are, how they can stand up for themselves, and how we can assist our neighbors. I think that's how we can make a powerful change with things that are so far out of our control. We don't have any control over the federal government at this level, but as fellow citizens, we can stand up with our neighbors and make sure they know that they're welcome. And I don't know, if ICE comes to town, I'll be standing outside the high school trying to keep them from coming in.
We believe that engagement of constituents by city council members is extremely important to keep the pulse of the community, but it seems to have been lacking in the past few years. What will you do in your next term to engage your community more if you're reelected?
So I walk all the time. My husband and I go out and walk all over North Kansas City, and we walk past not just our own ward and neighborhood, but we walk over to the avenues, and we walk around Mackin Park, and we walk over near Burlington. And in my ward, I've got a retirement apartment complex called the Gardens Apartments, and they regularly have events that the public are invited to. And so my husband and I will go over to some of those events just to try to engage with the people that live there. We constantly talk to people just when we're out and about. We like to frequent a lot of local businesses all the time, and so we're very easy to connect with. I will say I don't tend to engage on social media with people who are with people in the community. I use that to communicate with, my aunt, my cousins, some old friends from high school. But that really, for me, isn't the place to get feedback from the people who live in North Kansas City. I pay attention to it. I don't ignore it, but I don't use that as a way to actively engage with people. I would rather talk to people. I would rather sit down and have coffee with them, or have a beer with them, or go for a walk with them, or go to an event with them here in town. And I think I'm fairly approachable. I don't know. Honestly, I'm not exactly sure how I could make myself more approachable. I am literally out standing on Armour Road every night. So, and that sounds worse than it is. I made Mayor Smith laugh. No, there's a local music venue on Armour Road that a friend of ours owns, and we are there almost every night because we love the community and we love connecting with people. And so I feel like I just make myself available. If anybody has any questions or comments or concerns for me as a resident of North Kansas City, you can write to me as a council person. You can reach out to me on social media and I'll get back with you. Or you can come to Armour Road see me behaving.
Okay, well, to follow up with that, I don't hang out on Armour Road, but I don't know, maybe that's, okay, I might try it. I do hang out on my, I have like a patio porch in my neighborhood. When the weather's decent, you'd be surprised how many people, and I like this, because we've kind of lost that atmosphere through the years, but people will feel comfortable, say hi, stop, maybe sit down, visit with me, talk to me that way. We also have the, just right up the street from me, we have the little store, which I'm sure you guys are aware of. They have coffee. It's a great place to go, like on a Saturday morning, have coffee. You run into people. People feel free to come and talk to you. It's kind of just a very easy atmosphere. So I also think that we have a lot of things going for us that the staff has provided. We have, like last summer, we had several block parties. I think I went to, I don't know, maybe not ones necessarily just for my block, but I visited a lot of them. So I went to several block parties last summer, and that was a great opportunity just to sit and visit with people, get to know your neighbors, maybe venture out just a little bit farther. I know we have several community things that we have, like the art festival we have. There's a lot of advertisement that you can go to, meet people that engages the community. I know our Parks and Rec, I think they're outstanding in programs that they provide for us. Like they have different things going on, like, I don't know, they're having a little Easter thing for the dogs at the doggy park coming up, so they can, I don't know, dress your dog up like an Easter bunny, I don't know, just whatever. And then just all kinds of things that they have for it. I know they have a Halloween trunk or treat, or I think last year they had it, planned it, but however the weather didn't cooperate. But I think our city has a lot of things that engage people in the community if they want to participate. There's all kinds of things. So I think we have an advantage in that here.
So I think there were two parts of the question. One is how will we engage with the community, and how will we get the community engaged? Is that right? We'll go with it. So I want to get engaged with the community. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm kind of a people person. I'm not shy. I'm not afraid to walk up and, talk to anybody. And I hope that I'm also approachable. My friends say I have resting, happy face. So if you see me on about, please come up, talk to me. It's never a bother. I always want to connect with people. I have a dog named Mary that I think people know more than they know me. We walk at Mackin Park multiple times every day, and we'll walk and I hear people say, Mary, it's Mary. So if you see Mary, I'm attached to her, and you can say, hi, Cynthia, and I'd love to talk to you. I volunteer with our Parks and Rec department, so if you're at any of our events, I'll be at Bonanza is the name of the Easter event at the dog park. So come and say hi. I also help out at bingo. So for the seniors in our community, come say hi. I'll be manning the refreshment station. And then I also, since I'm a Parks Board member, I am always at the parks and talking to the people who are using our parks and getting feedback and presenting those at the meeting. And that's how, if I get elected as city council member, that's how I would also be for my neighbors. Come to me with your concerns and I will bring them up, even if I may not always agree with everything you have to say, or, I love being devil's advocate. I love asking the questions just so that we can look at things from multiple sides. You can always uncover more facts just by asking difficult questions. And then I would love to get more of our community engaged. In Ward 4, we have lots of apartment complexes. If you live in one of those apartment complexes and you're watching right now, please reach out to me. I'd love to talk to you about how you can get more involved. Renters, you are citizens here just as much as homeowners. Would love to engage with you and make sure you have an investment in your community and you feel like you belong, because you do. We value you so much. So speaking of like block parties, I was just talking to my neighbor Mindy, who's watching hopefully. And we were talking about having a block party for our block just to get everybody out of their houses and so we can talk. And we all have so much in common, but you never know until you sit down and talk with everybody. So I encourage everybody to also host block parties this year. Take that free money. It's just sitting out there. Go buy some pizzas. Get to know your neighbors a little bit better. But yeah, I think that's all I have to say for now. Thank you.
If I'm smiling a lot, we have some kids in the next room over there, and they're occasionally bouncing up and down, peeking in on us. And I'm looking this way and seeing them, and it's terrific, because that's what we need to be thinking about as we do our everyday activities, looking toward not just, again, tomorrow, but them. And that's, I love the watching them this way, bouncing up. They're not there now, but they will be. I'm not a native born North Kansas Cityan. I'm an immigrant here 30 years ago. And one of the reasons I moved here is because of everything that North Kansas City represents, and represents what it could be. It wasn't this way 30 years ago. It's become a much more inclusive, open, welcoming community than it ever was 30 years ago. But even at that time, it was still a walkable town, which is one of the reasons I moved here. And I walk all over. I've even walked the hills of 4th Ward. It's not all flat, by the way. And I've always been accessible to anyone through emails, contacts, telephone calls. Even when I was traveling in Spain, I had telephone calls from residents. The time difference made it sort of problematic, but I'm a reachable person. And I hope that people will reach out to all of us who are not only on the city council, mayor, but also to the staff, who is always open to trying to explain some of the intricacies of how the sausage is made in city government, and what can be done and what should be done. And gee, is there a way around this rule? Is this rule really a rule, or is this more of a suggestion? And I hope we can continue that, and I hope people will continue to reach out to all of us. Whoever is on the city council now, a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years, 20, and more. Thank you.
All right, I think that's all the time we have for questions today. Kim, did you want each candidate to briefly give like their last statement, or?
We have time for everybody to give kind of your 30-minute pitch.
30-minute
30
pitch.
minutes.
Wow.
Sorry, Mayor. 30-second elevator pitch. If we wanted to continue on, I think we are on. Yep.
Okay, 30 seconds is much better than 30 minutes. I'm good with that. So just real quick, I do love this city. I worked in this city. I live this city. There's really not another city that I would rather reside in. I do want to make it real clear, I am not against apartments or apartment living or renters in our city. I just want the opportunity for people to actually, that want to own a home here, have that opportunity to own a home here if they so desire. I want the best for the city, whatever that, that is for all the residents here. I do take it serious when I do give an opinion or vote or make my recommendation. I do remember I'm not doing it just for me. It's what I talk to my neighbors. It's the general consensus of how they feel. And so I'm not voting just for me or putting out my personal preference. Is for the people that have elected me and the people that, the neighbors that live around me. So that's what I'm representing them.
I wouldn't be up here if I wasn't passionate about North Kansas City and my community, my neighbors, my all of my constituents or potential constituents. I'm not afraid to use my voice. If people have concerns, if there's something I disagree with, if there's something my neighbors disagree with, I'm not afraid to speak up. And I may seem nice and like a pushover, but if I believe in something, I've got thick skin. And I'm also not afraid to disagree with people. I can disagree with people and still have a civil conversation and not let emotions get in the way or not let it cloud my judgment. And I can have my mind changed. I always want to hear differing opinions, because if somebody has a logical response that makes sense, I'm not too proud to say, you're right, I was wrong, thank you for sharing your viewpoint. I think that I could represent the members of Ward 4 with honor and proudly. We have some excellent citizens over there, but I also would be happy to be the voice of people outside of Ward 4. I think we're a very small community, and we all have very similar concerns and priorities, and I would just love to be able to advocate for those.
As I mentioned before, I moved here about 30 years ago. It's a move I've never regretted. North Kansas City has grown and changed in many, many ways over those years, but has kept some of the welcoming and open sense that I've always hoped for that it could be, and it's become even more so over those 30 years. I will continue working to preserve those qualities amidst the change and growth that is coming. And growth and change is very difficult for people. Even good change is difficult for people just because it's change. But we have to be open to it and consider the possibilities, not for us, but for those who are out there who are maybe peeking in a window at us. And whatever change comes, we have to make sure it satisfies not everybody. Not everybody's ever going to be satisfied. But we have to satisfy as many people with a consensus as possible and fit that into a long-range thought process. And that's my commitment.
I fell in love with this town when I was 6 years old and moved about 1.5 miles up the road. When I went to high school here, it got in my blood, and I have lived in other parts of Kansas City, and no other place feels like home like North Kansas City does. And no other place can ever feel like home the way that this place does. With every fiber of my being, I try every day to make this place the place that I love, the place I fell in love with as a kid, and the place that I want to continue to love as I grow older and eventually retire and just spend my days walking around this beautiful town, meeting all of the beautiful people. Being on city council is a gift in this town. The fact that anybody who lives here can run and get elected and get the opportunity to make decisions and learn and grow and talk and just feel connected in a way that I've never felt connected to my city before I moved here like this. It's magic. I encourage every person in North Kansas City to get more involved in everything that the town has to offer. But I also want you to understand that we're all people and we're all residents and we're all doing the very best that we can. And we're not in this for anything other than making this town as wonderful as we know that it is and it can be. So please vote next week for whomever speaks to you, and please get more involved in your community. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you all. Thank you, candidates. I did not anticipate being a part of tonight. I was going to chill in the back. That's why I dressed up. But I was asked to pass out a couple of these challenge coins to our wonderful moderators. Thank you again, year over year. Such a great time to have our debate team here. Simon and Journey, you've done a phenomenal job. As always, we've come to expect it, and you, again, exceed expectations. So we have these coins. They have the city's emblem and then the marigold, which is the official flower. And they're really cool. Like they have some heft to them. nice coins and a little protective case. So thank you for what you do. Keep up the good work.
And that concludes the forum. We invite the candidates to come chat with the people who are in the office and remind everybody to vote.